rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of The World of Gaming, the #1 podcast where we discuss everything that happens in the world of gaming. We talk about games, news, technology, and today, Dutch, we have a pretty packed show for you guys. But first, I would like to welcome our awesome community. I see familiar names in the chat and returning names. Shout out to James and Dutch. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Just been work and chill, and when I had the opportunity to game a little bit, and of course there's a lot of games that we've been playing since we last spoke, so there's plenty to talk about there. But I do want to say something before we go on about podcasting, because I'm going to just get it out of the way off.
All right.
Talk about it.
Go ahead.
So we've spoke about it in private, and I've mentioned it to somebody else here, but the Midweek Mix-Up podcast will run to episode 200. So obviously we've been doing bi-weekly recently. And obviously that's just because news is very light these days. There's very few things to talk about, and as me and Boxy have said numerous times, we don't want to force a show just for the sake of having a show. We'd rather do it and have something substantial to talk about and have fun while we're doing it. But in terms of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast, it's just been getting a little bit wafer thin. I don't have the same love for hosting a podcast as I once did. And due to that, and I've always said, if I'm no longer having fun doing that thing, then I'm not going to force it. I'm still going to be a co-host to the brilliant world of gaming, always.
Absolutely.
But the Midweek Mix-Up will end at episode 200. So it's another 25 episodes, including this one. That is potentially another year, depending on how often we end up doing the show. But yeah, up to episode 200, and we'll go out with a bang on episode 200 for the podcast itself. I'll still do game streams and things like that every now and again. I'll still cover platform showcases like PlayStation or Xbox and things like that with friends. And I'll still do things like the indie showcase, and I'm going to have a break from the indie showcase this year because it takes up a lot of work and I haven't really got the time for it right now. But that will return next year, and I will kind of have something big and fun for you then. But like I say, if you're just not having the same enthusiasm thing for it as you once did, don't try and force it. It's not meant to be a job at the end of the day. It's meant to be a fun hobby. So
yeah,
I'd rather it went out fun. So that's where the Midweek Mix-Up will end. So episode 200, but I'll try and do something fun for the final one, and we'll get something arranged for it, and we'll have a laugh. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. It's been something that I've spoken to you about this for a while now, about thinking about knocking the podcast on the head, and yeah, I think episode 200 will be a good way to go out.
Absolutely, that's a fantastic mark. Not many podcasts make it that far, so Dutch. But the good news on is, like you said, you will stay as a fantastic co-host on this World of Gaming podcast, and we're gonna keep doing that.
Yeah.
Whenever we have the time, and of course we try to do it on a weekly basis, but sometimes we just can't make it, like last week. But this week we are back, and you'll still have plenty of episodes left on your channel, and we're gonna again continue on this podcast together, which we are always looking forward to. So, and today we just spoke about that prior to the show. We actually have a pretty packed show. We have fantastic things to talk about. We'll of course talk about the big GTA trailer and announcement, release date, and everything. We'll also talk, of course, about other games that have been announced, like Gears Reloaded, Mafia. We've got some interesting news on that. We'll also talk about tech, because we got the first, actually, not just few, but pretty many infos on Unreal Engine 6. And we're gonna definitely talk about that. We had a big leak from the long-rumored Xbox handheld / partnership with Asus. We'll talk about that, and have a couple of other topics as well. So it's gonna be an awesome show here today. And again, I want to say a big welcome to everyone who joins us here live, but also a big shout out to our community that listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcast. Lately, we've been gaining some good followers on Apple Podcast.
Yes.
I don't know. We slide it into the algorithm, I feel.
eventually getting into the algorithm.
Eventually. So, yeah, we have an awesome show today, and Dutch. But before we start the show, we always want to talk about the most important thing in gaming, and that are the games that we are playing. So we want to know from everyone in the chat, from everyone who listens after the fact in the comments, what have you guys been playing in Dutch? What kept you busy?
Yeah, so I mean, there's been a lot of games come out recently.
Yes,
becoming a bit of a
more than
hard,
we can play.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with, and again,
Yeah,
it's so much limited time in the day when you've got work and things as well. So I haven't really had too much time to play loads, but I have been between 2 games mainly since finishing South of Midnight. Of course, I did play a little bit of Oblivion Remastered, naturally. I jumped on that, but I did say I'm going to play Oblivion until Clair Obscura comes out, and then I'm going to drop Oblivion until I finish Clair Obscura, and then I'll go back to it. But that was fantastic. Oblivion looks pretty. It plays well. It's just it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I don't know whether or not I mentioned this previously, but the weapon degradation doesn't feel anywhere near as bad as I remember it, which is always a good thing. So
Yes.
I have a much better time with that. But yes, I put that on the shelf. I said I've played this a long time ago. I've played it before. It's very pretty. I know what I'm expecting. So I'm happy to park this game and just come back to it at a later time. And then, of course, Clair Obscura dropped, and that is just such a fantastic game.
It is, definitely.
Looks beautiful. Soundtrack's awesome. The acting's fantastic. The story's fantastic. And the combat system's really, really fun to play. Of course,
Absolutely.
turn-based with a parry and dodging system, and it's a little bit more kind of active. So you kind of have to do a few things and keep active with it whilst you're fighting, and it's a little bit more hands-on than your standard turn-based game, which is really fun. But yeah, it's such a fantastic game and of course only done by 30 people. It's kind of shown the industry that it can be done. Yeah, it can be done, and again, although I'm playing it on Game Pass and a few others will be as well, the cost price of the game is like what, $50, or $55 or something like that. It's like it's absolutely a steal for what they've managed to produce. So I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm into Act 2 at the moment, so I've got past the.
You just started, or have you?
No, I'm a little bit into it. I'm at the area where there's the first section, the first invasion, where they've got thousands of dead bodies from all the expeditioners.
Yeah.
I am there.
The shipyard thing.
Yeah. So that's where I am right now, and I've got up to there's like a gate, and they've got one of the saved checkpoints there. So that's where I am currently. So of course we got over the big, and won't see any spoilers, but the big surprise at the end of Act 1.
Yes.
Which I don't think most people saw coming. I was like, what?
I did not see that coming. Yeah.
I was like, absolutely no chance did I expect that to happen. But I'm looking forward to it, and apparently it just keeps getting better and better and better.
It's getting better.
Such a fantastic game. Absolutely love it. So far, and it's going to be right up there with the Game of the Year shouts at the end of the year. And I think now that GTA has moved on, and we'll talk about that soon, it's got a very big chance of winning the Game of the Year this year, like a massive chance. Side note, after that, I've also been dipping in and out of Towerborn, because Towerborn is officially on Xbox now.
Yes, it is.
I loved it in its in its alpha state, in its beta state. Of course, I played both of those, and then it went off Xbox, and then it launched officially on PC first, and now it's launched on Xbox, so I'm playing it again. And the good thing about Towerborn, I said this when I was originally playing it, is it's one of those games you can go on, do a couple levels, jump off. Go on, do a couple levels, jump off. Like, it's not a game you have to force all the way through. You can take as much time as you want with it. Like, just grind it a little bit here and there, or you can play it all day if you really want to, or you can play it with your friends, play it solo. There's loads of different challenge options. It looks fantastic. It's a great side-scrolling slash 'em up, beat 'em up, fighty game. It's got a cool little story, loads of different quests for you to do, loads of different cosmetic items and things to do. But
it's still in early access though, right?
It's early access, yeah. It's not in version 1 officially, and it doesn't have achievements or anything yet either, although they have stated...
Who cares about the achievements? They haven't enabled cross progression yet. That's
cross progression, yes, between PC and Xbox, yes, via if you're doing it via the Xbox app, but not if you already have it on Steam to
No,
Xbox.
Steam. I'm not talking Steam. I've downloaded it via Xbox PC Game Pass on my Ally, and it did not work to have cross progression in between my Xbox console
Ooh,
and
it should.
uh,
It
uh,
should. So I wonder if
and
that's a bug.
A quick Google search told me it's because of early access. So it
Hmm.
did not work, and so had it uninstalled again
Ah,
because
for now. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
now, I'll be returning because I also enjoyed very much the alpha like you did, um, and it felt already pretty finished in the alpha.
Yeah. It
But
was. They've
yeah,
added a lot to it. They've added a lot to it. Naturally they do have microtransaction bits in there, but it is just all cosmetic. And I literally mean actual just cosmetic. So even when you're getting like weapon packs and things like that, they're just skins that do transmog for your current weapons. So it
yeah,
looks like something else, not that it is something else, and it doesn't give any power buffs or anything like that. So it's purely cosmetic
that's right.
microtransactions, which is good. You can earn the vast majority of the cosmetics whilst playing by doing quests for different people in the tower. So you don't have to kind of worry about buying any of them either. Of course, if you don't want to grind or go and do the missions and get that things, you can just buy the cosmetics,
Yeah,
or you can literally unlock them whilst you play and do it that way. So
yeah,
that's fine. But yeah, there's a lot to do on there. Like I say, there's a lot of difficulty levels for every area. You can replay every area at higher difficulties. You unlock higher loot, of course, for doing it in higher difficulties. It's got kind of a level system as well, so it tells you kind of how high the level is recommended for being in certain areas. And if your equipment doesn't marry up to that, of course, it's going to be more difficult. And there's literally tons and tons of different enemies in the different biomes, so you're always coming across different types of creatures you have to fight against. But no, it's a really good game, and again, I think it's definitely going to be even more fun when you're playing with friends than you are solo. So I'm looking forward to trying and play a little bit more of Towerborn with friends as well, just to see how fun that will be.
yeah. Sounds like a plan, man. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until it's fully released.
Yeah,
I'm kind of over the early access thing and not having it feature complete and
yeah,
not as long as I have plenty of other stuff to play. And similar like you, I've been jumping in between Oblivion and Expedition 33. And Oblivion turns out is my Asus ROG Ally game at the moment. Whenever I'm on my Ally, I tend to play that because Claire Obscura is really difficult playing on the little screen.
yeah.
Because you kind of have to uh, like you said, parry and dodge properly, and for that
Hmm.
you have to really pay attention to the movement of your enemies.
Yeah.
And on the little screen, I find that pretty difficult, to be honest. While it runs really well on that thing, it's simply for the screen size that I find it a teeny bit too difficult on the little handheld. But yeah, that's why I'm playing a lot of Oblivion, and I mean, you pretty much covered it, right? It looks fantastic. It runs really good. It is. Just love these high fantasy open world RPGs, and Oblivion held up so well, right? With some of these really old open world games, you have that feeling that, well, the world design and the quest design and everything doesn't age well, even if they get a fresh paint of code, but coat of paint, and it's really not that with Oblivion. The design of the world and the quest design and everything is just as good as I remember it, and I'm loving that. I'm loving that. But yeah, my most time went actually in Expedition 33, and I'm absolutely loving that game. It's, you know me, I'm a sucker for these turn-based JRPGs. At the end of the year thing that Xbox always provides, right? Where they show you your statistics. My most played game last year, according to that thing, was actually Octopath Traveler 2, right? I played the shit out of Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes and so on. And I think I mentioned that before to you, that whilst I really did enjoy games like I just mentioned, they all had in common that pixel art look, right? Which can be pretty and fun and everything, don't get me wrong. But having such a turn based RPG with a feel of a triple A production quality, with gorgeous visuals and a bombastic soundtrack and proper cutscenes and storytelling, it's just awesome. And Expedition 33 is not just looking good. It's like you said, the story is so good. It's it from the very beginning, the opening scene, basically the tutorial scene, where you're still on the continent, right? You can already tell, oh man, this game is going to go for deep storytelling and heavy moments, and then you continue throughout Act One,
Yeah, the
and
intro to Act 1 was a very strong start.
absolutely, absolutely. And then you have this massive surprise at the end of Act Two, and then throughout at the end of Act One, and then throughout the Act Two, you have like also very insane moments. And I think I'm now at pretty much the end of Act Two. There's o- I would say like midway through the Act Two is like a massive boss battle where you would think, okay, that could be the end of Act Two, and but it turns out it isn't. And then at the I think I'm at the end of Act Two now because there's also a massive boss fight, and he's kicking my ass. It's the guy, for those who have already played through Act Two. It's the guy with the masks, and he's kicking my butt, but I'm having a blast. Like you said, this idea of having a dodge and parry system makes the turn-based combat so much more engaging. It's a fantastic system, and like you also said, the soundtrack is phenomenal. It's You really cannot believe that this game has been made by 30 people. It's crazy, right? So yeah, man, I'm having a blast with that. But Dutch, our community voted actually not to watch Expedition 33 here on my podcast.
Ah, you see, I've got Expedition 33 recorded, and I've got a little bit of Towerborn recorded.
Oh, nice.
I did
Oh,
this.
I'm
I did
pretty
this last week, not this week. So, you know,
Okay, okay. So we're gonna watch some Oblivion first, and maybe we'll switch into some uh, Expedition 33 a little later through the show. But yeah, Dutch. Let's get into some news. Let's get into some news of the week, and we have plenty to talk about. There, I want to start with a smaller topic. That before we get into the big ones, yeah. Uh, You know, Xbox has been releasing games left and right on PlayStation lately, and what's really interesting is if you look at sales charts throughout North America and Europe, the top three titles have all been in April Xbox games, yeah, with Oblivion. With Forza Horizon and of course Minecraft. I think Minecraft got a little boost there with the movie releasing, but still, uh, top three selling, best selling digital games, yeah, in on PlayStation have been
It's
Xbox
still
games.
wild to
So
say Minecraft. Minecraft is like one of those games where you think, how do
it's
people not already own that by now? It's like a GTA when GTA 5 just keeps selling, and you're like, but how? Who doesn't own
how,
GTA? Who doesn't
yeah.
own GTA 5 now? Everybody has to own it. Surely everybody owns it. How does it keep selling millions? But Minecraft is still there. So
For some reason, I mean, it's it's the kids game, right? And so I can see, like, every month new gamers come on with the kids, and yeah, but it's crazy. It's crazy. You would think every household owns Minecraft by now, but it keeps selling, man. It keeps selling. So, what are your thoughts on this? All three spots going to Xbox games, and obviously, it turns out that this strategy, at least short term, seems to work for them, right? So what do you think, man?
I mean, it was always bound to happen. These are franchise. Well, as Forza Horizon is a very popular racing franchise, super
Yeah,
popular. It's one of the highest
yeah,
rated in the industry. The moment that thing landed on PlayStation, it was always bound to do well. PlayStation, we've said before, they have Gran Turismo, of course, and it's a fantastic simulator game or
yeah.
simcade. Um, but they have nothing on that platform that is remotely like Forza Horizon. Of course, they got the newest, The Crew, which was kind of like Horizon, but didn't live up to expectations.
Yeah, not even close.
Um, so to eventually get the king of that open world racing game on the platform, yeah, they would have been absolutely mad to not buy it on PlayStation. Like it is by far the most enjoyable of that of the industry for in that type of genre. But overall, it just shows that all of these people, and again, this is what people need to get out of their heads a little bit as well. We're very lucky in the fact that we are able to own every single platform. We can go out and have a PlayStation and an Xbox and a Nintendo and a handheld ROG Ally or a PC. We're lucky to own these things and have them all, but the vast majority of people don't have both or three or four consoles. They have a singular platform. So when out of the blue, these people who are completely disconnected from this gaming bubble we have on social media and just like to game see Forza Horizon drops on PlayStation for the first time, or Gears, which we'll talk about in a little bit,
Oblivion, yeah,
or any one of these new franchises to them that they've never had a chance to play but they've always heard about because it's never been on their platform, but they haven't had the money to go out, or they don't game enough to go, well, I only game once a week, or I only game a couple of times a week. I'm not going to go out and
yeah,
buy a whole Xbox just for that. And all of a sudden it's available on their platform. Absolutely, they're going to jump on it. And Microsoft are
yeah.
not daft on that front, of course. We know their strategy now is to get as many people playing the games as possible. And it's clearly, specifically the big games we see now here, the likes of your Sea of Thieves, your Forza Horizons,
Mm.
your Call of Duties, your Oblivion, or your Skyrims, or whatever the Elder Scrolls that end up going forward. Whenever Starfield lands, that'll be right at the top of the sales charts. Like any of these big AAA titles, when they go onto that platform, will get a massive sales boost immediately, because if you take out of the fanboy bubbles of these people shouting and screaming on Twitter every day, the actual people who buy these consoles that have only got the money for one or money to invest in one are just so happy to see these big titles that were once on one platform only that they never got come onto their platform, and they're absolutely going to buy it because they've heard so much about Gears, they've heard so much about Halo, they've heard so much about Forza Horizon, and now they can play it. And
Yeah.
again, Sea of Thieves were mentioned as well, but Sea of Thieves was like super viral and popular on streamers and things like that, and then the same happened again when it launched on PlayStation. It did really good numbers, and of course we can talk about Minecraft, but Minecraft has always been an absolute juggernaut, and it will continue to be a juggernaut. So, yeah, I think it's just, of course, we've kind of got used to the strategy now as well. We have said though it will be a hindrance for them to try and sell hardware going forward because there is nothing as a particular. You can say Game Pass as much as you want, and for us, Game Pass is fantastic because I've got a PC, I've got a console, I can use it everywhere. When handheld comes out, I can use it there. Fantastic. I have my games everywhere. The issue for them, however, is that outside of Game Pass, what reason does a new person have to invest in the console? And that's the only issue they've got going forward now. That's their issue to worry about, not ours. Our issue is continuing to pump out new games, big games that are fantastic. And the one thing we cannot knock them about this year has been this cadence of games. We've had game after game after game after game this year, and it's continuing. We've got Doom coming up in literally a couple of weeks. And then we've got
days, dude.
Days. And then we've got another what we got Tony Hawk next month, and then we've got like it's just non-stop, like all the way through the end of the year, and then next year and next year. So we cannot knock them for what we've originally shouted them for. It's just, of course, they've got their own headaches now with regards to hardware and trying to justify why people should buy it.
Yeah.
But sales ranking
we've always said that of course for them it makes sense kind of to put those games on PlayStation in terms of sales and numbers, and as someone who loves to play on console, prefers that over PC. Of course, I want two strong consoles out there. I know there's the Switch as well, but yeah, we all know that Sony is, Nintendo is kind of a different bubble.
Yeah.
And going forward, like you said, it'll be tougher for them to sell consoles, and we shall see how in a few years when next gen comes out and how they're going to support the console hardware. Then if there's just not enough competition out there and sales numbers and everything. But as for now, of course, it makes sense for them. Obviously, they have the top 3 spots on PlayStation, and with that, it doesn't really surprise you that their big announcement this week also, of course, comes to PlayStation, and that was, of course, Gears Reloaded, right?
Yeah.
Gears Reloaded was announced to come out this August on everything, right? Except the Switch.
On everything, apart from Switch 2, so far.
Apart from Switch 2.
So far.
Well, so far. You're right. So far. So Gears Reloaded is, what do we call that? A remaster?
Remaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say it the same as I would for any remaster of a remaster. I'm thankful I don't have to pay for it because I own it already.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's the thing about this, right? It's a fair pricing. So if you do already own the Gears remaster that came out last gen, what was that called? Gears Ultimate or something?
Yeah.
You get the upgrade of this remaster for free, which of course people always compare that now to PlayStation. I've seen a lot of people say, hey, the Xbox fans, they have been complaining about PlayStation doing remasters of remasters. and they've done plenty of them. Xbox has done one of them, and it's a very different situation if you don't have to pay for the upgrade if you do already own the remaster,
Yep.
right? So it's getting an increase in texture quality, lighting quality, shadow quality, everything like you want. That it's not like remade in Unreal Engine 5 or something. That's not the case. I'm already looking forward to play it again because Gears is just a fantastic franchise. Probably my favorite Xbox IP. Along maybe with Fable, and then and so I'm naturally looking forward to more Gears, and well, it didn't surprise that this is now also coming to PlayStation, and PlayStation gamers can now for the first time experience Gears.
Yeah.
We've also long heard the rumor of Gears trilogy coming, Dutch, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, for at least I want to say 3 years now.
Oh, at least.
At least. We have heard every couple of weeks or months about the rumored Gears trilogy, which this isn't, right? Turns out it's what it is. It's not. I do not mean it in a negative way, but it's a remaster of an already existing remaster. And unfortunately, I would have loved to get to see a Gears 2 and 3 getting a remaster treatment, a proper remaster treatment. I would have loved to see a Gears trilogy. But I take anything Gears. So don't want to complain too much, but of course, it turns out the long lasting rumors have not been true. It's not the Marcus Phoenix collection or whatever. It's just the first game, which I'm looking forward to see in action, actually play it.
I mean, from what I can gather, because I haven't really went into what's changed much on it, the first game was 720p on 360. Then they upgraded it for the Ultimate Edition to 1080p. Now they're upgrading it in the Reloaded
4K.
Edition to 4K. Yeah. They've added a little bit more fidelity to it. So a little bit more higher detail textures and things like that. But ultimately, there's nothing much else changed with it. It's like you say, it's not like a whole Unreal Engine 5 overhaul.
Didn't get the Oblivion treatment.
Yeah, it's not the Oblivion treatment. It is literally just an up-res, a fancy up-res, should we say.
Yeah.
On that note as well, though, for the poor PlayStation players who are going to be playing it for the first time, you're going to be thoroughly enjoying the campaign. The campaign's fantastic.
Yes.
But you're not going to enjoy the online because crossplay is forced on. You cannot turn your crossplay off, and of course,
you can't turn that off.
You can't turn it off on PlayStation. You can on Xbox by forcing the privacy settings to have you only. But if you do that, you're very, very unlikely to find a game at all because it kind of restricts your network essentially. The problem they've got there, of course, is when they try and play it online for the first time, there's been people that have been playing Gears of War online on Xbox for decades, and they will absolutely demolish them. Like, I don't go into a public lobby on Gears online, and I've played Gears online, and I used to play it online properly years ago, and now with all the wall banging stuff that the new kids do, nope, not even worth it. You just get annihilated.
I'll be so into that.
You just get annihilated. I'd still have fun from time to time, but a lot of the time it's not like we used to when you had sniper battles in the canal. And you used to kind of be on bridge to bridge, and you used to pop your head up very quickly to see the other guy on the other side. Just try and pop his head before he pops yours. But yeah, it's the new PlayStation players are going to be in for a world of pain trying to play that online for the first time. But right, it's a sign of where things are going that we're seeing Gears on PlayStation for the first time, and hopefully it does go to Nintendo Switch as well. We know the new Switch can handle it. It is marginally less powerful than the Series S. So it can definitely handle it. The Ultimate Edition. We know it can do 4K and docked now for Switch 2. We know it's going to be more than capable of handling it in its handheld mode. So why not? Why not? And yeah, it is gonna be for those who are still diehard console fanboys for Xbox. It's still gonna be hard for them to swallow that pill and just get to grips with the fact that probably every game that Xbox make going forward will eventually be on other platforms,
Yeah.
if not day and date.
Yes.
Fable probably will end up on there. Hellblade will probably end up on there. Like we say, Starfield will.
Starfield is only a matter
Halo,
of time.
yeah, Halo absolutely will at some point. I think that's the bandage. I think once that goes over, I think that's the bandage off for the remaining guys to understand that Xbox literally will be on every platform. We've said it for so long, though. I think the ultimate end goal for Xbox is somehow getting Game Pass on PlayStation. That's their ultimate end goal.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to manage it, because that's a whole nother financial headache for them to work out with Sony and Nintendo. But ultimately, that's what they want. So it'll probably be some form of restricted version, should we say? Like they have with the core version of Game Pass on console now, where there's only set titles go into it. I think they could see that kind of thing on PlayStation and Nintendo, where it's only Xbox first-party titles in that version of Game Pass.
Yeah.
And then have third-party titles just on the Game Pass Ultimate on Xbox. I see that as the only way to do it, really, for them. I can't see any other way that they'd manage to get Game Pass on other platforms.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still believe that their next big move is going to be a new Xbox OS that is Windows based, and you will actually be able to play on your console everything that is also on PC.
Yeah.
There will be no dedicated console versions anymore. They'll end up with a launcher, some user interface that doesn't make it feel like you are in Windows, but essentially you are. And then that's I expect that to be the unique selling point for them going forward in their with their next gen console. So, and that's probably going to happen before we'll see Game Pass on PlayStation, because I think as long as Sony is happy, of course, with them putting Forza and Halo and Gears and everything on there, but Game Pass is a whole lot of other headache for Sony then, right? So yeah, like you said, going forward, and I think I went through the 5 stages of grief, right? And I've already arrived at the acceptance phase. It is what it is. There's actually not much we can do about it. So
no, you see, for me now, I'm just at the phase now where I'm like, you know what? I'm now past caring. It's up to them what they want to do with the console. I don't agree with it to the extent that I think it damages the platform itself, and I think they're going to have a hard job selling it. On a personal note, though, we've been shouting at them to get their games in order for so long, and the fact that they're now bringing them out in quality, quantity, and frequency.
Yeah,
I'm no longer in a position to complain, because I've shouted at them for so long to get their act in order to release quality games, and they're starting to do that now at a good cadence. So as long as they continue to do that and at quality, I'll be happy.
absolutely, Dutch. So let us move on from Gears and let's talk about what is probably going to be the biggest entertainment launch of all time, and that's GTA, right? GTA dropped another trailer the other day. They announced the release date for May 2026. So it's official, right? GTA 6 is no longer a 2025 game. Some publishers already have come out, like EA with their upcoming Battlefield, and expressed their, well, happiness about that. The trailer has been the most watched video content ever. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like
more than
475
500
million
million.
views in the first couple of hours or something.
24 hours, yeah, and they already way past 500 million now. It's crazy. It was actually
Yeah, the funny thing is about that as
everyone
well,
thought,
though, is for these publishers, especially Rockstar, you've got to think that they've put out a trailer themselves of their own content on YouTube, and we know on YouTube just how much money that generates on that level of views. Oh my god! Like they've already made so like probably tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds on just the views and ad rev from that
yes,
video.
yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy, and um, everyone thought initially, well, that was just a cutscene trailer. Rockstar has now come out and confirmed that it was a mixture, about 50-50, in between gameplay, actual gameplay segments, and cutscenes, and that it is, or the trailer was running on a base PS5, right? Not even the Pro. And if you look at that trailer, and I assume everyone who's listening to this has seen the trailer, um, it is drop that gorgeous, right? It looks phenomenal. The level of detail is amazing. Um, the, they obviously improved like everything on this engine over last GTA, and even above Red Dead 2. Um, Fantastic lighting. It's completely ray trace global illumination. Yeah. They've, of course, ray traced reflections in there. They've, for larger areas like big lakes or something, they have still screen-based reflections, but there's no baked-in lighting. It's all ray traced global illumination. Insane texture work, fantastic level of detail. Yeah, like realistic place bottles on the side, and we've seen all those things. So, Dutch, what were your thoughts on this? Not just from a technical point of view, because I think we can all agree that, of course, with a budget which is estimated to be above $2 billion, and we all know Rockstar, they are really good developers. That's definitely, but with such an insane budget, they obviously achieve a technical masterpiece, right? But what were your thoughts on the trailer, the story idea that they gave, the world? How did what were your impressions?
Yeah, I mean, as we know, it looks fantastic. I don't know why anybody doubted Rockstar's ability. Like everybody, for some reason, being a bit strange about, oh, well, this isn't gameplay. I'm like, have you honestly been following Rockstar for that long? Did you not look at Red Dead Redemption 2 and what they managed to achieve on those consoles? Like, granted, the resolution was a little bit lower, but the actual fidelity in the game and the lighting and everything they managed to do with Red Dead Redemption 2 should have really give you an indication that Rockstar are absolutely capable of putting out a visual masterclass on terrible hardware. Because
Yeah,
let's face it, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 base wasn't great. It was really low spec hardware. And the fact that they managed to put out these games on that, Red Dead Redemption 2, and the fidelity and the quality that they did was testament to their ability. Um, so to see it and to see kind of the fidelity that they'd put out, to be fair, the moment I saw it, it reminded me of the way that Rockstar do things when they do the in-game cinematic parts, then
Yeah.
meld it straight into the gameplay. So I was like, well, this is
Yeah.
absolutely
Seamless
gameplay. Yeah, it's a
transitions.
seamless thing
Yeah.
because the see a character, he has a go at you outside of your flat, and then you turn around and it focuses behind your character, and then you open the door, he walks into the apartment, and then the gameplay is there. But it's pretty much all seamless. So I seen those clips throughout before they came out and said it was gameplay slash cutscenes, and I was like, well, yeah, that was kind of obvious to me because this is the way that I've known Rockstar to be. They do this thing where they do the in-game cutscene and then they turn it, and then you behind the character, and then you continue. And they've always done that, so it looks, yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. It looks humongous. The map looks massive. Back to Vice City as we knew. But also I think there's an abundance of characters. The world looks significantly more alive now than it did in GTA 5. In GTA 5, there was a lot of characters kind of just running around or driving around the city, but there wasn't really anything that made it feel more like really alive. On this one, there's segments where he's driving down the road and there's like police pulling people over and like searching them outside the vehicles, and like it felt like a more alive place to be, like an actual city with people going about the day-to-day things, not
Yeah.
just random NPCs walking up and down the street as they do in GTA, but actually going out and doing things. Not and that's not something that we've seen in a GTA before, so that'll be very interesting to see how alive that feels when you're playing it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's face it, it's I think the original, from what I know anyway, the original slated date was mid-November. Um, and I said if they were going to change it or if they were going to announce it, it would be very soon.
Mm.
Any delay because, of course, they've got their financials in the middle of May, on the 15th, I think it is. So they would have had to announce something either on that day or before that day, because, of course, being a shareholder company, they have to announce it to the public. They can't just hide a delay. They have to say, okay, if the
Yeah.
game's going to get delayed, we have to tell people. We can't just hide it to the last second because we have shareholders that will want to know.
Yeah. True.
um, so that doesn't bother me either. But I feel sorry for the likes of Fable, which pushed their game out to next year.
Yeah.
That now have to compete
Well,
with GTA.
did they do it because of GTA?
If they did,
Or
oh dear.
oh dear. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'll still be playing Fable. Don't get me wrong. But I think everybody and their dog will be playing GTA as well, and it looks absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. The characters are again, it's a like kind of a Bonnie and Clyde type of situation here. You've got kind of two criminals that are also trying to go about their day to days whilst doing heists here, there, and everywhere, or being in some form of gang and things like that. So we'll see how that story plays out and see how the characters play out. Are we going to see a return to the GTA 5 thing where you kind of have the character wheel and you kind of pick up on characters in certain areas, or
It
is it going to be a bit
didn't
different?
feel to me like that. I
Mm,
think this is going to be more. I mean, probably if you're free roaming, right? You will be able to probably switch in between the characters, but since it feels like their story is way more intertwined, like the three characters in GTA 5. I mean, eventually they all met, and you know, no big spoilers here of a, I don't know, 12-year-old game, but um, the very first half or two-thirds of the game felt like, okay, this is Trevor's story and this is his story and that story, and it is the the trailer already suggested that their story is way more intertwined, like you said, a kind of Bonnie of Clyde kind of thing. So I feel like, especially if you're following the story missions, yeah, you will be more guided to this is you need to play as him. This is this mission you have to play as her. Uh, kind of thing. But of course, that's speculation at this this point, but it definitely felt different. I actually liked that because as much as I enjoyed GTA 5, I wasn't the biggest fan of the three characters because that's
Oh, I
always been a
loved them.
strong
See, I
suit.
loved them. I loved Trevor the most. Trevor was hilarious.
Yeah, I agree there, but I did not enjoy switching in between three characters all the time, and
Mhm.
the, for the vast majority of the game, they felt very separate from each other, you know. And if you look at GTA 4, 3, or Vice City, you always had just your single character, and eventually you get so attached to them. And this was a little bit broken because you were like always, switching in between those characters. And this is feels very different to me, seeing this trailer now, that you have more like you're gonna feel way more connected to this couple, um and I really do like that. And like you said, there the world looks absolutely fantastic in terms of density, and it feels way more alive. And that combined again with the visual fidelity is just crazy to see. And it my hype level definitely is through the roof because it got they really got this GTA feeling. You know, it's it's not some they haven't changed the mood and the feeling of what GTA is because, well, how old is GTA 5 now? 12 years, 11 years, something in that
I think it's
ballpark,
13
right?
years now, actually.
13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And over the last 13 years, a lot of things have changed in terms of what you can say and do, and in a game, right? We've had multiple discussions about this in previous podcasts, and so was always wondering, is Rockstar going to move away from this feel of what GTA makes great? That yes, some things are politically not correct and things like that. And it doesn't feel to me like that, right? They just nailed this atmosphere that you would expect from a GTA. And I also feel like a lot of publishers are very happy that this time they didn't just say, "Oh, it's coming 26 now," that but that they actually gave it a proper release date, because again, everyone is going to try to move away from GTA 6. Yeah, uh, prior to its launch, after its launch, there will be just like a vacuum there. And I think for them giving now a proper set date, well, it's May, and then we have and other publishers can plan around it.
Yeah, it's literally
Yeah,
slightly over 1 year away, which is this. It is actually not a big delay because they only ever said fall 25, so we
well,
did
yeah,
have a physical date. Um, but if you think of when it was announced, though, it's an entire year from here to when it's theoretically coming out.
exactly.
So that's a lot of time left to finish and polish that game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for other publishers, again, it's enough time to plan around this insanely massive launch. And of course, Dutch, I've seen online the discussion again about pricing of this game, right? Especially after the Xbox price hike, and we'll get to that probably a little later. But um, yeah, uh, what do you where were you at with the price speculation? Is this going to be the first €100 or dollar game?
No, I don't think so. No, I think it's going to be an $80 game for sure.
Yep.
But I don't think it's going to go as far as 100. Not for the standard version. I think $80 is probably going to be what it is. I think even at that they're making stupid money from this game. I know they've spent a reported 2 billion on it, but how many copies has GTA 5 sold now? Like 200 million copies or something ridiculous. 150 million, 200 million copies. Like it's this is you're talking about not just the game itself, but when GTA Online 2 launches, that game is a money printer in
Yeah,
itself.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think and of course then they'll sell GTA 6 online edition with shark cards attached to them, and Ultimate Edition with elephant shark cards, whatever they're called, the big ones, and there'll be 100 version, there'll be 150 version, there'll be silly ones like that, and people will buy them. Absolutely, they will. I mean, if you have a look at every poll that people put up about how much would you pay for GTA, there's a significant amount of people that are happily paying 100, 150, 200 for a copy of GTA 6. They've got a silly fan base around them. Now, I love Rockstar, don't get us wrong. I love what they're capable of and they can make. But I think paying anybody 100 quid for a game that isn't an Ultimate Edition with DLCs or extra, or so you're getting something additional for that. I think that's getting into silly territory then. I think there
I
needs
also
to be some.
feel like the obvious greed.
Yeah,
If they would put it out as a 100 euro game, yeah, or $100 game, or whatever currency, um, it would be so obvious that this is just a greedy move, right? And I doubt that they would want to attach that to GTA. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. And I think that then the industry would then say, well, yes, they charge 100, but they also spent 2 billion on it. But then you'd have to say, okay, well, they would
Yeah,
have.
well, they are going to sell 200
Yeah, not everybody
million
will. So then
copies
you
of it.
can't say I'm going to charge
Yeah,
this, and this.
yeah, that's true. So, yeah, man. GTA 6, massive, gonna be a massive release. You, like I said in the intro, it's gonna probably going to be the biggest entertainment launch ever. There's just nothing like it out there, and yeah,
Sorry, I had my cat
I'm
shouting at me there.
was wondering
Yeah,
where it would
he was
stand up
literally
then.
standing at the door shouting at us. So I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but since we are on the topic, Dutch, let's briefly touch into this because we haven't had the chance to talk about the price hike of Xbox last week, since we didn't do a podcast last week, right? And I know to some this might sound as already old news, but actually last Thursday, Xbox announced that they are going to raise prices for Xbox consoles. Games will now be $80. Uh, well, I've said something very similar when we talked about Nintendo doing the same thing. The games already cost $80 outside of the US. But they also raising prices, console prices, for the Xbox Series X and S. They're going up $100 towards the original launch price. 80 euros for the series. $80 for the Series S, and that's of course they said it because of the tariffs, and to balance the hit for US customers. They've not just increased prices in the US, but worldwide. Yeah, so to not raise the prices. I don't know, $200 in the US, which is what they should have or would have done if it was a US only thing. They said, okay, we're gonna only raise it 100 and then balance it out through the rest of the world. So everyone's getting a price increase in hardware. Games are only getting more expensive in the US. So what are your thoughts on this, Dutch?
I think it's ridiculous that this far into the generation we're getting price increases on consoles still. Like, if Xbox actually had any inclination to sell hardware, that is completely out the window now. Like,
Yeah.
how would you expect to sell? No offense, but the Series S was an intro price point.
Yes.
Now it's in the territory of what the original price point was, or almost the original price point for the Series X.
Yes.
It's not far off that original price point.
Yes.
You're like, what is going on here? Like, I am so thankful I've already got them, like, from the beginning of the gen, because it's absolutely scandalous now that they can, this far into the generation, any of them have the audacity to increase prices. It's just, it's ridiculous. This is old hardware. Yes, you've got tariffs getting placed left, right, and center, but hold off on these costs getting passed through to the consumer until these tariff things have been ironed out, because they are getting ironed out. The US are doing trade agreements with people left, right, and center. Of course, the UK had one agreed today. There's bound to be a trade agreement at some point with European manufacturers and traders. There's bound to be them again with China at some point and Japan at some point. So you're a multi-trillion-dollar organization. Soak it up. It's not like you're selling loads of consoles to start off with. You're selling at most a couple of 100,000 worldwide per month. At most. You're not doing millions. So soak it up. Wait until the tariffs have changed again. And just, you'll be absolutely fine. You're not losing boatloads of money. So soak it up, is what I say. This far into the generation, price increases should not be there.
I agree there, especially since we since the tariffs are actually only impacting, in this case, the US, right? To roll it out for everyone worldwide, to be the first one to do such a thing, because no doubt others will follow suit, right? It's Sony has been starting this whole thing with raising game prices at the beginning of the gen. A year or two into the gen, they raised the hardware price first. So it's only a matter of time before PlayStation is also gonna increase it. But being the first one to do it, especially since Xbox's unique selling point at this point in time is like, hey, you're getting the most value here, right? With Game Pass, with like you said, a low entry point console, value for your buck. Yeah, is probably the best selling. If you want power, you go for the PS5 Pro, right? They don't have something to rival that. They don't have a mid-gen upgrade. And it's always been, hey, this is the console where you get games the cheapest because you have Game Pass, right? Which is still the case. Don't get me wrong. But the whole idea of buying an Xbox is because of value, and for you to be the first one to increase game prices and hardware prices as a reaction to the tariffs, I don't think that's a smart move. And like you said, people are used to consoles getting cheaper, and you can argue all day long there's always been something. Like 2 years or 3 years ago, when they first increased the console hardware price, Sony and Xbox, yeah, argument was, well, we have a pandemic ongoing, and now we have the tariffs ongoing, and we have this and that, but at the end of the day, we're getting old hardware. The consoles are more than 5 years old now, and if you can't bring the price down, you shouldn't increase the price. And yeah, it's just a weird generation. Um, uh, Something gamers are not used to, right? And I think because there's one thing we know for sure: even if tariffs would be removed tomorrow, prices wouldn't go down again. That's the whole thing, yeah. And yeah, being the first one out there is probably what surprised me the most. But yeah,
I completely
it is
agree.
what it is.
Completely agree. It's. I just think it's ridiculous. I think these platform holders can do more. Listen, the parts and the things that they're getting now for these consoles are severely out of date. So there's bound to be things that they can reduce costs on that don't involve consumers paying more.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Again, price value is the thing. And with a 5.5-year-old console, you already know you're not getting. I mean, people are already talking for more than a year now about next gen, and the rumors are out there. Xbox is starting next gen early in 26, maybe 27. But um, if 26 is right, Xbox is now entering more almost it's probably its last year in life cycle. You know what I mean? Um, Maybe the second last year if it's 27, and and that's not when you raise prices. Yeah, at least keep them that way. And like use it's a fantastic argument. It's in every quarterly earning report we learn, okay, hardware sales went down 30-40%, right? Oh, we got a new host here. Your cat is
Yeah, we
joining
do.
us.
The cat's joined us because he won't stop shouting. So I've brought him upstairs, and then eventually he'll shut up and he'll sit and do what he wants to do.
There we go. um so yeah, James in the chat says it went up in England too, which doesn't explain tariffs. Yeah, uh, it's to soften the blow for U.S. citizens. What was the explanation? Uh, they didn't want to increase the prices too much in the U.S., and so they spread it out for everyone to soften the blow. But yeah,
Yep.
not a good idea. Not a good idea, especially with their new strategy where it's obvious to sell more hardware. And I know people will all come at me again. And it's not about hardware sales, and it's about monthly active users and so on. If you do have a product that you're selling, you want to sell as much as you can. That's the first thing. And the second thing, it's not about selling consoles, it's about selling the storefront. And with the console, you sell a storefront, right? And that's why it's absolutely about console sales at the end of the day. They can keep telling us what they want. Of course, they would love to sell tons of consoles, and this is not going to help them. Yeah, this is not going to help them in that regard. But yeah, that next gen is not gonna be a 500, not gonna be a 600 console. I can tell you that for sure. The next gen, I can,
Next gen, we're looking
without
at
knowing
seven,
any
eight hundred
specs,
dollar consoles.
exactly, at least 700. At least 700 is what we are going to see next gen. Yeah, I agree. All right, Dutch, let us move on. But we'll stay on the topic of next gen things. Dutch, I don't know why anyone talked about this. I've not seen any other podcasts talk about it. Barely someone talk about it on the social channels. But Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, gave a major insight on Unreal Engine 6. Yeah, remember, like about half a year before the current gen launched, they first showed off Unreal Engine 5, and we all knew, okay, this is going to be the Unreal Engine for this generation. And he gave a pretty good insight on the next gen engine, Unreal Engine 6. I mean, we are forgetting that Unreal Engine 5 is almost 6 years old already. Yeah, I know it doesn't feel like it, but that's not, pardon me, not 6 years, 5 years, 5 years old. It doesn't feel like that because we are still having the feeling when we see Unreal Engine 5 games, okay, developers still need to learn that engine and find their ways around it. And obviously that's the case because when a new engine like Unreal, which is more or less an industry standard now, if such an engine comes out, you will still see. I mean, it took us, what, 2 years or something like that till we got the first big game outside of Fortnite using Unreal Engine 5. But the engine itself, yeah, was released in its early stage back in February 2020. Yeah, it's more than 5 years now. And so Unreal Engine 6 is, according to Tim Sweeney, about 2 to 3 years away. So something like in that ballpark of 27, we are going to see Unreal Engine 6, right? And he talked about what their targets are for Unreal Engine 6. He was asked what is the biggest goal with Unreal Engine 6, and he answered that they want to fix the single-threaded simulation bottleneck that is haunting Unreal Engine 5, Unreal Engine actually since its beginning, and we see that especially now in Unreal Engine 5, where they have introduced Nanite and Lumen, two very power-hungry but fantastic technologies, and Unreal Engine 5 still having issues with the single thread workload. That's their biggest goal, he said. Then a big topic is, of course, going to be generative AI. He already confirmed they are not aiming for replacing artists. But of course, generative AI will play a big role there. If he explained it like that if a designer made a building which is 3 stories high and he wants to increase that now to a 10-story building, he can just use generative AI built into Unreal Engine 5 to generate that building, make that building 5 stories higher, things like that to speed up the workflow. Of course, there to have an increase in quality, lower costs, and that's why they also want to introduce a brand new logic programming language, which has been carried over actually since Unreal Engine 2, up until Unreal Engine 5 now.
Yeah,
they've been using the same logic programming language, and they're gonna introduce a brand new one. This tells me it will take developers a lot more time to adopt then to Unreal Engine 6, because when moving over from 4 to 5, you could always use your already set up scripts, and a lot of custom tools have been built by different studios, right? It's not. At least it sounded to me like it's not going to be as easy if they are to transfer then over from Unreal 5 to Unreal 6 if they're going to introduce a new programming language. But they are also going to focus on is something that they call the one deploy strategy. Yeah, you would just build your game a lot of optimization tools already implemented there for different platforms. Less optimization for platform specific tools and hardware. So develop your game once and then deploy it on Xbox, Nintendo, on PlayStation, on PC. Is something they are very much focusing on. Yeah, and it's gonna be, of course, going to be built to handle massive scale simulations. Like you mentioned the word metaverse scale, yeah, where it's actually going to be possible to have millions of gamers in a game running that. Of course, I'd assume that's what they target for their own development, Fortnite, right? But however, what I think for a game engine being that far out, 2 years, right? That's already a pretty good insight. And so, Dutch, I wanted to hear, of course, your thoughts on this. What do you expect from Unreal 5? Pardon me, Unreal 6. You're interested in that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, it's great to see that they're already putting investments into the Unreal Engine 6.
Oh, I can place a bet right here and now that they planned for Unreal 6 before they launched Unreal 5.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Unreal 5 hasn't been their best work. Let's put it that way. It's been Microsoft's tools issue. Let's put it nicely. It's been Epic's version of Microsoft's tool problem. When they launched it, there was lots of issues with the engine and not being able to run stable. There was a lot of developers having issues getting performance out of the engine. Even now, there's a lot of developers having issues trying to get performance out of the engine, even though it's now been refined significantly. Yes, there are many tools in there that make developing big, vast, very detailed open worlds a lot easier for developers, but making it performant is another thing entirely. Now it's come a long way since its launch. Unreal hasn't been without its problems this gen on Unreal Engine 5. So it's kind of been a test bed for what they need to change and implement into Unreal 6 and how they can do that. But I think one of the main things, even ignoring AI and everything else that goes along with that, one of their main issues is to make the engine as good as they say it can be, but also give developers the performance output that we require from video games going forwards. I think that's ultimately the thing that we need to see from Unreal going forward. Is yes, this engine is very capable of making very pretty looking things, but if it runs at 15 frames a second or 20 odd frames a second, why bother? Why bother?
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and I mean, you can get the big studios, the likes of the Coalition and things like that, that are capable of using this engine and getting performance out of it. But Unreal has always been an everybody's engine, where every developer can use it and every developer can get their game running and running well on that engine and make good things with it. But when you make it to a point where it takes significant optimization for the small guys to make something in Unreal, then they're gonna go to other kind of engines like Unity, etc., instead of Unreal to make their indie games. And then the big guys that have issues will go over to more bespoke engines like your Gorilla's engine, or over to ID, or so just anything other than Unreal to make a game, because it's really difficult to get performance out of it. But ultimately, I think they're also still now currently banking on the fact that using Unreal Engine 5 going forward, you've got Halo, which is a big get for them. And you've got the Witcher franchise, which is now over on to Unreal for the first time. And of course, you've still got Gears ED, which will launch on there. So you've still got
Absolutely.
big mammoth
Tomb Raider.
franchises, yeah,
Yeah.
that are using Unreal. And I think going forward, they need to listen to these guys on how to refine that engine so it can be optimized. So I think aside from all these fancy new features that they're going to put in, I think ultimately what we just want is an engine that's going to give us games that perform when they release.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very true. I mean, we should not forget Unreal Engine 6 launching in 2 years. It doesn't mean we'll see Unreal Engine 6 games in 2 years,
Yeah,
right? Like you said, it'll take a lot of time till developers adopt. Just look at the launch of Unreal Engine 5. It took more than 2 years till we got the first game running in Unreal Engine 5. So we're not going to see Unreal Engine 6 games before the end of this decade, right? And there's plenty of life left in Unreal Engine 5.
yeah,
Uh, but I do agree, and it sounded to me that at least a couple of things they have on the radar. The single thread thing is indeed something we've been hearing from developers for many years now that have even the Unreal Engine 4 days, right? In 3 days, we've heard the single thread issue with Unreal Engine. If they can solve that and make this engine actually something that is better suited for scalability, because that's the hardware world we live in now, right? We have a massive successful Steam Deck and a massive successful Nintendo Switch uh, 2, Nintendo Switch 2, and which don't pack the power, you know. Then we have like the mid-tiered machines, our consoles. We have to have the super high-end PCs, and we have the all these devices, and it's more than ever that we are living in a world where games are not made for single platforms anymore, right? Um, these platform exclusive kind of titles, even the Sony games, they all come to PC now, right? It's it's a world where you kind of have to adopt the engine and the idea behind an engine in terms of scalability. At least to me, it sounded from what I've read in the interview with Tim Sweeney is that they are very much aware of that. How will it translate into actual game performance? Good-looking games on Unreal Engine will still be power hungry, absolutely. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see this, and let's see if we will learn more of this in the coming months and years. Dutch, let us change topics. Let's come back to Xbox, but stay on the technology kind of topic. The Xbox handheld, long rumored. It has been leaked a couple of weeks ago that Asus is working in partnership with Xbox on an handheld Project Canon. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. Anyway, the Xbox handheld that is supposed to come out this year, right, is not the Xbox handheld that probably everyone was hoping it to be, because we already knew that it's not going to run the Xbox console OS, right? It's still a PC, Windows PC handheld, but it is partnered with Xbox heavily. And this week we had a couple of images from that device being leaked, right? We could see on that thing there is an Xbox button, just as you would expect it to be. The design is very different from the Asus ROG Ally, the original one, which is what I was expecting. Because honestly, if you do introduce a new generation of a ROG Ally or whatever it's going to be called, if it's going to be partnered with Xbox, I'm not sure if they're gonna just call it the Asus ROG Ally2 or something else. It has an Xbox button on it, and you can already pretty much guess what this button is going to do. It's going to bring up the game bar, right? As it does when you connect an Xbox controller to your PC and you press the Xbox button. So you've seen this, the images, the leaked devices. There's a black version. There's a white version. It looks like they're gonna keep the white version as the Ally branded one, and then the black one is gonna be the Xbox branded one, because on the white Ally, the Xbox button is still there, but it doesn't carry the Xbox logo. So what were your thoughts on seeing all these leaked images, Dutch?
Yeah, I mean, I personally thought, yes, of course, it's nice. We kind of expected it to be a black one, obviously to go with Xbox, but I was kind of expecting to see a little bit more Xbox in that Xbox branded version.
Yeah.
Not just a button that has the Xbox logo on it. I was kind of expecting to see some form of green lines or something somewhere, or even green LEDs in it somewhere, or something that would make it go, okay, that's the Xbox version and not just a little button.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. I mean, obviously that thing was a prototype.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they do a little bit more with it in terms of its look and feel on the Xbox branded version.
And the only thing, and the things we don't know, which weren't in the leak, of course, I mean, other than the fact that the person who took the photos clearly didn't clean the screens before he took the photos.
Oh yeah, there were plenty of fingerprints on
Yeah,
that thing.
God, that's like giving your toddler a Nintendo Switch to play on and
yeah,
just touch it all. But yeah, other than the fact that the screens were absolutely filthy, we don't know what obviously we have no idea really what the UI is going to be. Is the ROG Ally proper, like actual ROG Ally? Is that going to be the regular Windows OS? And is the Xbox version going to be their UI? So their new Xbox kind of UI that they're going to use for it, Windows Xbox UI, to see what the difference are, and actually stand out.
And I mean, we know that something like that is coming.
Yeah.
Jason Ronald at CES in January
Exactly.
this year actually teased that already. Yeah.
And we don't know what the specs are on them either to know what it's capable of. So
I mean, it's pretty much everything but confirmed that that it's gonna be the Z2 Extreme chip that is powering that thing. I think it's also a very safe bet that it is gonna pack at least 24 gigs of RAM, because the Asus ROG Ally X already had 24 gigs of RAM. So I'm not expecting them to go down with that number. Whether they stick with 24 or go up to 32 remains to be seen. But yeah, the Z2 Extreme is pretty much all but confirmed.
yeah, and of course we know they do battery refinements to try and get a little bit more performance on the battery, but again, the issue you have there is that a lot of that stuff, when you increase all these things, pushes the price up. So if they're going to continue, because the regular ROG Ally, before they did the ROG Ally X, wasn't 24 gig.
No, it was 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is the Xbox version going to be 16, and then they do the ROG another version of 24 or 32 again?
Oh, so you think the Xbox One is more or less the entry price point, and then the interesting. I mean, they did have two versions of the original Ally, right? They had the Z1 Extreme and the standard Z1 chip, and they were priced, I think, $150 apart.
Yeah.
And the good one that you actually wanted, the Z1 Extreme, is the one I also had launched at 700. Yeah, so I expect that thing also to be at least at 700. Maybe the Extreme version even at 800, something in that ballpark. I would expect that to be a beefy price. Yeah, especially seeing hardware prices go up everywhere. We just talked about the Xbox price hike. Um, yeah, I think we are not going to have to wait too long. It's heavily rumored that on May 20th we are gonna see that reveal, that thing revealed, which kind of would make sense because that's the window where they have always introduced the Ally. The original Ally as well as the ROG Ally was always end of March, and pardon me, end of May. Um, so it kind of would make sense, right? Especially doing that before the Xbox showcase, right? Gives Xbox something to talk about in June. Maybe explain the UI a little bit better. Maybe make that UI available not just for this Ally, but also for other Windows-based devices. So, hey, this is our new gaming OS, Windows-based, but you have a entirely new overlay so that it looks and feels more like a console experience. Um, Maybe you have even the option, I don't know, on your regular desktop to PC to switch towards that UI. Then it definitely gives Xbox a chance to advertise that thing, to explain the UI at the Xbox showcase, or tease more at the Xbox showcase, but to have a reveal of the partnered handheld with Asus before the Xbox showcase absolutely makes sense. So I don't think we will have to wait too long to find out.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. I'm pretty much already, well, I don't know what they need to do with it that I am not going to get one. I'm gonna sell my current ROG Ally and then just get the new one.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm gonna wait to see what's the difference between the white and black one. Is it just really the Xbox button and they do the exact same thing? Is there gonna be a hardware difference? Is there gonna be, like you said, an OS difference? Because I mean, it's an interesting thing to see that, because Asus has been heavily investing in building their armory crate, which is basically an overlay. So when you boot up the Ally, you actually boot into your Windows desktop, but then it automatically boots up the armory crate which is a very simplified user interface to do gaming stuff on it. Yeah, all your installed games pop up and you just click that, and you don't have to launch the Steam launcher or the Ubisoft launcher or whatever game you're playing, right? You can do that through the armory crate. You have access to all the screenshots you took. You have access to your settings, and so in a very easy and convenient way. And if I look through the last 2.5 years, what they've done with the armory crate, it almost feels like every time I boot my Ally up, there's an update for it, and they have improved it. They have adjusted this armory crate towards being able to support controller a lot better actually now. They've put a lot of work into armory crate, so it's kind of hard to think that Asus is just gonna, yeah, screw that, and you're just gonna use whatever Xbox is giving us or Windows is giving us, right? So I'm really looking forward to see what this is all about, because I do love my Ally. It's a fantastic experience to play games on that thing.
That's fair. We shall see. We shall see. I'm still. I think I don't think I will be investing in a ROG Ally. I might still hold off.
I'm gonna convince you, man. You say that now.
I might.
But I'll talk you into it.
Still, I might still hold off and wait until a legitimate Xbox handheld comes out and see what that's about.
But that's gonna be a while. That's gonna be a while because, let's face it, you still believe in you still believe that Xbox is gonna launch next gen, and that's what the rumors and everyone thinks that with next gen they're gonna launch a regular console and an Xbox OS handheld. Do you really think that this is going to happen next year?
Next gen, yes. Yeah, they'll have their own for next gen. Yeah.
Yeah. But is next gen going to happen next year?
Is it going to happen next year? Maybe it's not. It'll either be tail end of next year or 27.
That it's going to be tail end is no. Every Xbox console has launched in November.
Yeah.
Every single one. Every single PlayStation has always launched in November.
Yeah.
There is no way that whenever year it comes out, it's going to be a November launch.
Yeah.
So that's a safe bet. But when we started to talk about next gen, and we did talk about next gen, I don't know, a year ago or so, right?
Yeah.
I was pretty much convinced, yeah, it could be actually a 26 release. But now, May 25, I do have a different feeling. I think it's gonna be a 27 thing. I don't think it's a 26 thing. And whatever this new Windows gaming OS is that Jason Ronald teased in January this year to come out this year is probably the first version of what will run on the next console generation.
Yep. And then we have to take into account the effects of the global economy on creating and manufacturing and distributing a new platform, which will have inevitably pushed things back a little bit. So yeah, it's probably looking more likely that's going to be 27.
So, and then again, if you believe that Xbox is going to launch the next gen not with the classic console US, but with some sort of stripped down Windows version with a proper overlay and UI and everything, that's the case. Dutch, what is hindering you to not get a ROG Ally this year? Because then their handheld is the exact same thing that you will get from Ally this year.
I'll already be getting a Switch too. First and foremost,
just do it like
I actually need a Switch 2 though, because this one is buggered, so I need one.
Yeah.
I already have a PC, however, and I've got an Xbox, so I don't have an ultimate need to get a ROG Ally immediately. So I can kind of hold off on that because I have a PC, so I can play PC games. I have an Xbox, so I can play Xbox games. The Nintendo is the only one that I can't actually play on the go because the Joy-Con doesn't work. So
yeah.
So that's the only one I need to replace.
You cannot play your PC on the go. You cannot play your Xbox on the go. And if you want to play proper games and not just the Nintendo games, which we are not getting plenty on the Switch too, outside of Mario Kart,
Cyberpunk. Woo!
Which runs and looks better on your Ally. So, man, I'm telling you, there is no need to wait. Just get a proper Asus ROG Ally.
But the ROG Ally X or Extreme or something like that will also be like 200, 300 more than the Switch.
That's true. I mean, you gotta pay for quality there, right? And I'm gonna talk you into it eventually.
We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited to see what this is all about. And yeah, probably in 2 weeks we know more, right? And I do wonder what this Xbox branding then actually does. Is it really just this Xbox button? Is there more behind it? Is it going to launch with the Jason Ronald teased Windows version which is optimized for gaming? We shall see, man. We shall see. All right, Dutch. And that already brings us to our community questions this week. Like every Wednesday, we put up posts on all social media platforms, Blue Sky, on Twitter, on or X, on YouTube, wherever we are. We put up posts and ask our community for questions and topics, and it's not locked behind a paywall, so everyone can write questions in. And we got a couple of good ones this week. The first one comes from The Big Bridge. He says, "Hello, Boxy and Dutch. Love your podcast and looking forward to watching it." Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. And we are looking forward to your question. And here it comes. You are in charge of a video game award show for Xbox 2025. Scores of cheering fans are expected to attend, and even more are watching and voting their favorites to win. Who would you pick as the 5 nominees for this year, and who would you pick as your special guest appearance to make it a memorable event? Yeah, man, this year we actually can choose it out of more than 5 games because Xbox is killing it. So what are probably going to be the best 5 Xbox releases this year? I mean,
Xbox specific ones or just games? I
mean,
if you go on specific Xbox ones, there's only like a handful of titles.
Let's exclude third parties from this that launch on Xbox.
I mean, then you've literally got just every release from Xbox this year.
Yeah, well, you got more than 5 releases this year, right? So I'd definitely pick Avowed, Oblivion.
Yeah.
We count in Expedition 33 because technically it's third party.
I mean, that's winning Game of the Year regardless. So Avowed's fantastic. Doom's going to be fantastic.
Doom's going to be fantastic, yeah.
South of Midnight was fantastic.
Oh yeah, South of Midnight.
Towerborn isn't a full release, so we can't say about that.
Right?
Yeah. So you've got 4 big releases there, and then you've got, of course, Outer Worlds.
We're not going to put Call of Duty in there, though.
No, and you've got Outer Worlds too. That releases later on in the year. Whether or not it releases in time for the Game Awards is another thing. I mean, out of all of those, I thoroughly enjoyed. You know what it is? I can't speak on Doom because I haven't played it, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Avowed, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with South of Midnight. Both are very different experiences. South of Midnight was just masterfully crafted by Compulsion, by far their best game. Soundtrack was fantastic, gameplay was good, but overall not complex. Very simple gameplay mechanics, but art style was fantastic. The world was very, very, very well crafted. The story was fantastic. I mean, outside of the combat being very easy, and the gameplay being very basic, the rest of the game was fantastic.
I agree.
Avowed, I just loved that. I loved the shorter, more condensed Skyrim.
Absolutely.
Essentially what that was. Very colourful.
5 hours or so I spent in Avowed, and it was perfect length. It was long enough to properly get immersed in that world and lore and everything, but it didn't feel like a grind fest or anything.
Yeah. Exactly. Didn't outstay its welcome. It was a good game to play through. It's. I mean, I don't know who I don't know who I would put on top for it because they're all different experiences. Doom's entirely different.
Absolutely.
Avowed's entirely
we
different.
Need to play them all before we're going to be able to nominate.
Out of the Xbox specific games, I couldn't tell you which one I'd pick. But for me personally, Expedition's probably winning the race now anyway.
I mean, Expedition is so good that it's kind of hard to imagine which game could take that away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But hey, maybe we are getting surprised this year, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question comes in from Rafe Dammers, and he says he has a question about Xbox pushing into higher end system. He says, I'd wager the new Set 2 Extreme handheld will launch at $700 or more. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, the original ROG Ally already launched at 700. So, yeah. So he's now suggesting a push towards premium gaming experiences at premium prices. Xbox has Series X, pardon me, Xbox has Series S, xCloud, and Game Pass for budget conscious gamers. Could they also position themselves more aggressively in the high-end market going forward? I
No.
love that question.
Yes and no. I say no because if you're going to go on console route for high-end console, previously I would have said yes if they had something to go with it that was exclusive to that and a reason to have that specific console. But outside of it being powerful and being high-end, if you want something high-end now, you would just get yourself a PC. If you want a high-end console, you need a reason to have a high-end console. Like the same reason me and Boxy haven't got a Pro was because it's priced at high-end console price. If you buy the CD drive with the console, that's like $900. But if you
it's $900 with the stand.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Way more.
Exactly.
Than
So
900 with the disc drive.
And is there a justifiable
this
reason to buy the Pro right now? I would say no. Personally, no. And Xbox have got an even worse reason because if PlayStation doesn't have a reason and they're the ones where they sell on exclusives and they generate a lot of their kind of fanfare through their exclusivity and the exclusives that they get for the platform, Xbox, on the other hand, are throwing exclusivity out the window and still hoping to sell hardware in some way, shape, or form. Now, I don't think position himself as, okay, now buy our high-end hardware. You're like, but why?
See, and maybe that's just me wishful thinking. We've talked about what's going to be the unique selling point of the next Xbox console if it's not exclusive games anymore. What's the unique selling point? And I've said it before, I believe they'll try to push the narrative of Xbox being the console where you can actually play all your games by having a Windows OS on that console and being able to push Steam and Epic Games Store and Good Old Games as well as their own storefront. Now, that kind of machine, which kind of audience do you want to attract with such a machine that can do such a thing? Especially if you launch your console, your regular console, along with a handheld. Having a stationary console that is priced similarly towards the handheld, this makes sense because if you're looking for budget gaming, then you're gonna go for the handheld. You can use it in dock mode, right, in your living room and for your gaming entertainment on the go. And if you price that similarly, yeah, and don't expect an Xbox handheld to be below 500, it's going to be 600, somewhere in that ballpark. And then you have your base console at, I don't know, 6 or 650 or something like that. Yeah. Is this, who's gonna pick up the console, the base console then, the proper console, you know? So if you want to differentiate yourself in your own two hardware SKUs that you have, they did that with the Xbox Series S and X. Yeah, they were priced very similar, very differently at $300 and $500. So there's a big price gap. If we say the Xbox handheld is 600, you're gonna have to price the base console at 800, and then again with Windows being on it and Steam and everything, who's your target audience? It's not a casual console anymore. It's not a console where you target casual gamers. Then it's an easy thing to say, okay, let's say towards $1,000 for that console, and actually do something really good with it. You know, having like a real beefy console that would differentiate yourself from not just your handheld that you have, but also from your competitor, which is probably not going to do that. And your target audience is the more hardcore fan base. And let's be real, of course, everyone's going to complain about €1,000 console. But the hardcore fans, then hey, I can play my entire Steam library then in the living room at convenience, with the convenience of console, and I still like have that power of a mid to high end PC and not just a low to mid tier console. Yeah, which, let's be real, that's what consoles are. Even if we say, oh, the Xbox Series X was such a beast at launch, compared to the hardware world of PC, it was still mid to low tier. You know, it's in the ballpark of a 2070 card, maybe a 2070 Ti, but that's the ballpark we are talking here, right? We're not talking ballpark of 2080 or later the 3090 or the 90 series or the 80 series. But if you could push that just one step above, yet you have actual hardware advantage over PlayStation. You have a price gap in between. If you want to go for budget gaming, use our handheld in docked mode, and there you go. Well, we're talking budget gaming relatively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A handheld is still gonna cost a lot of money. But then you have, and then you differentiate yourself. You're targeting the more hardcore fan base. Yeah. The people that actually subscribe to Game Pass. I would also say that's probably more the hardcore gaming community, because the casual gamer that just plays a FIFA and a Call of Duty year, Phil Spencer himself said, that's not our target audience for Game Pass. So everything that they kind of do, play your games everywhere. A casual gamer is not going to play his games everywhere. The casual gamer doesn't have a PC and a handheld and a console. That's someone who is interested in play your games everywhere is not a casual gamer. Yeah. So I could see them do that. Go for a high-end tier console. That is then okay. Screw it. We just charge you $1,000 for it, but you get actually really more power than PlayStation. You get to play Xbox games and Steam games and everything on there, right? And you have like, I don't know, 50, 80 kind of quality levels in 2 years. Yeah, in 2070. Then we're talking. Then you have an actual unique selling point. Is it going to be successful? I don't know. I'd be up for that, man. I'd love that. Pure speculation there, though. Pure speculation. All right. Whistle writes in and asks, I need advice on how to not purchase Marathon. When I see it pop up on the store this fall, Halo Combat Evolved is my favorite game ever, and I still cling to the fantasy that the old Bungie will come back. So annoyed that it's not a single player of story-focused first-person shooter.
Easy advice
Well,
from me. Look at the feedback that the people that have played it in its pre-release form have said. This game will not have legs.
yeah.
It's going to be another one of those games that's multiplayer only. There is no single player. It's going to release at a price which automatically cuts out a lot of people in the market that are in that specific genre, which is a free-to-play genre on these shooters that are multiplayer only, where if you have a price to buy in already, you need to have a lot of content at launch in order to justify it. There is not enough content that they've got ready for this game for launch to justify a price tag, and therefore it will not be successful. So save yourself the money and heartache, because that game, as it stands in its current form, will not be successful. You'll have spent money on a game that will ultimately not be there in less than a year.
I totally agree on that. That the genre itself is a free-to-play genre, right? You have plenty of great games in the same genre out there that are free-to-play, that already do have tons of content out there. For you to put out a multiplayer-only game that comes with 3 maps, where you literally advertise the game, yeah, but more will follow. We are working on stuff to follow, but you're just gonna have to wait a year or two, or whenever you will actually have content in that game to play. And then put a price sticker on that, not being free to play. I doubt that the name Bungie will carry it and make it a success, because that's all that they are relying on, right?
Yep. And considering
not
the way
that it is-
Destiny has been over the last few years, it's not like the name Bungie really means as much as it once did.
Exactly. And I get this little sentiment about Bungie used to be this fantastic studio that gave us the Halo of IP and franchise, which was a milestone in shooters, right? With a fantastic campaign, great storytelling, good gunplay on a console, with the controller. It's and a fantastic multiplayer that was so addictive. Halo 2, milestone in multiplayer gaming, online gaming in consoles, was basically introduced. I mean, yeah, I know Dreamcast, and I know there have been other games prior to that, but none to that degree. This was the first proper online game on consoles. This is what they brought us, right? Bungie. This Bungie is long gone. It's long gone. And Bungie has lost so much good faith in recent years. With the launch of Destiny 2, and that was what now, 8-9 years ago.
Yeah, and then removing a load of content from Destiny, never to be seen again.
Then remove and the way how they handle that. And I know that Destiny still, but even with Destiny, they needed to go free to play, yeah, for it being able to survive till this day. So I don't know who thinks at Sony or Bungie that it's a good idea to launch a game in a genre where all your competitors are free to play. You only launch it with 3 maps, and then you put a price sticker on it, and think, hey, just because the game itself doesn't look that unique or special. I'm not saying it's not fun in itself. I haven't played it. I can't talk about that. But from what I've seen, it doesn't look special. It's not that, ooh, this is an outstanding game. This is what the world has been waiting for. It's not what this is. It's just another shooter in a world. It's just another extraction shooter where we have tons of other extraction shooters. It's nothing special. It doesn't stand out. Just because there's this name Bungie above it will not help this game survive. And it's probably gonna survive a little longer than Concord, but they're going through with a price sticker and that little content. I can tell you this is gonna be Concord 2. just a little longer. Not just 10 days, but maybe 10 weeks. But after 10 months, it's definitely in oblivion. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I hope we help Whistle to not buy it.
Yeah.
No, well, that sounds so mean towards them. It's not that I wish them not success, but it is just not Bungie anymore. Not the Bungie we loved. It's and yeah, it's just not a good idea to do it that way. Sith Lord writes in and asks this question: with the countdown to Doom and the showcase, and then Tony Hawk, will we get another game release date at the Xbox show case? I think he means more like a surprise release.
Yes, I think so.
Seeing Xbox this year coming out of the blue. I mean, we knew that Avowed and South of Midnight is coming. We didn't know about Ninja Gaiden 2 Shadow dropped in January, right? We had Oblivion Shadow drop. We had the surprise announcement, Tony Hawk, not a Shadow drop per se, but available in 2 months. And then we had the announcement of Gears, available in 3 months now. If they do that in the first, well, we are in May now. Already, they did it for 4 games in the first 5 months of the year, and the big showcase is coming up in a month. In 4 weeks, we have the June showcase, right? I'd be surprised if they didn't have another arrow in the quiver, honestly.
Yeah, same. I'd be surprised if we didn't have at least one more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any guesses what it could be?
Clockwork.
I could see that. Yeah, I agree. I could see that. But I'm thinking bigger. Honestly, I'm telling you, Forza Horizon 6.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they could do that and Clockwork. Entirely different games.
Yes, absolutely. They have enough in the pipeline that they could do. But I mean, Forza Horizon 5 is now 4 years old, right? That's double because Horizon was on a 2-year cadence. Yeah, we are now 4 years. It's double the time. They pushed Fable for some reason.
Yep.
Right? And I doubt that it's simply the fact that they were afraid of GTA. I don't think that. I think they were looking at it and they said, okay, Fable could need another 6 months or so of polish, but Forza Horizon, and then those are 2 different separated teams, but at the end of the day, they also share a lot of resources like play testers and so on. And then they suggest, hey, come on, let's go through with Forza Horizon. It'll be tough for us to do both Forza Horizon and Fable. We're gonna give Fable another 6 months or so, another half year, and then we just release Forza this year.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree with Adronti J in the chat that Gears of War E-Day is not going to be a this year game. It's next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. Siki writes in and asks this: what do you guys want Everwild to be? Are they planning to show it at this year's showcase? Personally, I want it to be a farming life sim type of game where we raise these adorable creatures.
I think it'll be.
Siki, but I hope it's not that.
I think it'll be a land-based adventure game, very much like a Sea of Thieves. But more like it's going to be like an exploratory social adventure game where you solve puzzles and you
Sea of Thieves
help animals and
Yeah.
It'll be whimsical, but very much Sea of Thieves-esque in its big open world that has lots of things to do and lots of customizability, and yeah, I think it's going to be similar to that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but is it what I want it to be? Absolutely not. Originally, when we
It
heard
depends on
of
the
it for the first,
stories and the adventures that they have crafted for the game.
yeah, but they don't have any stories and adventures in Sea of Thieves. It's just
Eh,
do whatever you want.
eh,
Ah, come on, come on.
eh. No,
Ah,
they do. They do.
yeah. Now after 10 years, they added this one story
No, they've got the Pirates of the
DLC.
Caribbean quest. They've
Yeah,
got
that's
the Redbeard quests. They've got all the Pirate Legends quests.
yeah,
They've
but
got
come
they've got
on,
lots of
come on.
actual
You
stories now.
don't want to convince. You cannot convince here anyone that Sea of Thieves is like a story-driven adventure game. That's really not the case.
No, it does have that though.
After 8, 9 years,
But it's also
so
super successful.
but I do agree. I could see them do that.
Mm.
That idea was basically behind the reboot of development that we heard about. Back in 2019, when they first shown the game, we heard that this is a Zelda-esque game.
Yeah.
And I would love to.
I can still see that kind of, but with more social elements.
Yeah, maybe with
Yeah.
more social elements. Yeah.
Like, that's what
maybe.
I meant by the Sea of Thieves social element of it. Like, it wouldn't just be you doing this kind of Zelda-esque questing and story and whatnot. It would be more of a kind of an open worldy thing, a bit like the Sea of Thieves, where your character is in that same world as everybody else, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A shared overworld.
Yes.
Where you could do social stuff and then you go into your dungeons and be on your way. I could see that. Anyway, I would love the idea of a Zelda-esque game because I still wonder why there are only few games out there that actually kind of copied the Zelda formula. If you think bigger games, Darksiders comes to mind. At least Darksiders 1 and 2. 3 was very different than, yeah. Still a good game though, but very different than first two Darksiders. But those are the ones that come to mind. And we had this one little indie game.
Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Yeah, Dungeons of Hinterberg is not Zelda-esque. Nah. It's really not. But yeah, so I feel like there's room for a good developer to jump into that Zelda-esque type of games, and I'd love Everwild to be there. And the second part of his question was, will we see it actually? Absolutely. I mean, right before New Year's, they posted this random screenshot of Everwild after being silent for 5 years. And they literally said, we see you guys next year, right? So with next year, they, of course, obviously meant 25.
Yeah.
Because they posted it at the end of 24. So 25, that we will see it this year is with that more or less confirmed, right?
Yeah.
And where else would they show it? After being, they've shown the game in 2019, they've shown the game in 2020, and then they went silent for 5 years. It's time to for Everwild to be at the showcase. And if they're gonna show it off this year, they're not gonna just do it randomly with a post. They're gonna give that game a proper introduction at the showcase. Absolutely, I'm 100% convinced. All right, Dutch. That already brings us to the end of our podcast. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us here live today. It's always great to see you guys in the chat. But I also want to mention, of course, our listeners that do listen after the fact, either here on YouTube or if you were listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and made it to the end, a big thank you. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We had a blast. Dutch, before we let everyone out, tell everyone where they can find you and what you've coming up, man.
Yes, so for those who might miss the beginning of the show, just to kind of recap, midweek mix-up, as you see it here, will run until episode 200, and then it is ending. That will be the end of the midweek mix-up podcast. I will be remaining in my co-host position with the world of gaming, but the midweek mix-up, as you know it, will end after episode 200. There will still be things on the channel like occasional game live streams or covering game showcases or doing an indie showcase or something like that. But podcast wise, that will come to an end after episode 200. That is mainly just because, again, once you stop doing hosting, stop enjoying something as much as you once did, the space has changed quite a bit over the years that we've been doing it. There was a lot of news when we first started. There was a lot of things to talk about, and things have kind of got more and more difficult to kind of cover as times went on. The scene's changed quite a bit, and now we're struggling these days on covering enough topics week to week to the point where we're now having to do it bi-weekly quite a few times. So as it stands, because we're kind of always relatively short on topics, and we get weeks where we then have to bulk them all together, and it makes it a little bit better for us, then it'll drag out. That up to episode 200 will still be about a year away based on that kind of frequency. But once you stop thoroughly enjoying doing what you're doing, like hosting a show, it's then time to knock it on the head. It's not to say some point in the distant future after that I might kind of pick up the reins again and revive the show, because there's no reason why we couldn't. But I don't want to force something just for the sake of forcing it, and I'd rather just be in a nice co-host role with Boxy doing the world of gaming than forcing a midweek mix-up podcast for the sake of it. So yes, that'll be that. So whenever episode 200 arrives, then that'll be the end of the midweek mix-up. And it'll be on a, should we say, a permanent hiatus unless something miraculous happens over that period. But, like I say, other than that, you can find me everywhere at WandrinDutch. Like say, I will still be doing hiking vlogs over the coming months. I'll still be doing the occasional game stream. I'll definitely be covering the Xbox showcase when that comes out, and any other game showcase that happens to arrive that is worthy of covering. Not like a little state of play or anything like that, but the big ones. But yes, it's been a blast as always, Boxy. And
Absolutely.
we shall see how the news pans out, whether or not we do one next week or not. But
we hope there's plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week. And again, you bringing the midweek mix-up podcast to an end on your channel, as I can absolutely understand that, but it of course is also something, because we started that midweek mix-up podcast 5 years ago.
Yeah,
right. So it's the end of an era. But we will be continuing to do, again, for everyone, just to be clear, we will be continuing to do here the world of gaming. The two of us, we try to be on a weekly basis, but sometimes the news or real life gives us problems to do it every week.
Yeah.
But we do hope to be back next week, and we fully intend to do so if the if life allows it. And then, yeah, guys, I want to say again a big thank you for joining us here today. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. the weekend is near. Plenty of games to play. Doom is only, what now, 4 days away? And until then, play some games, enjoy what you're playing, and don't forget to game on.
You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. I'd rather be a dreamer,